This is my favorite object. It's a leg splint, designed in 1941 by Charles and Ray Eames. Initially, World War II splints were made of metal, which were heavy, cumbersome and could cause further injury to the patient in transport. In response, designers Charles and Ray Eames created a lightweight, easy to produce, stackable splint. It was both ergonomic and sculptural, and its production left a lasting legacy on modern design. As a meditation on the object, I'm going to recreate a 1/4 scale model. I drew the front and side view to scale, printed it and glued it to foam core board. Then I cut out each profile and laminated 8 layers together. I then started to carefully carve the form with a scalpel. It was hard to get the form exact, but I shaped it to a reasonable representation. I tried sanding and filing some areas to smooth out the form, before covering the entire thing with tape to try to smooth the surface out and prevent any glue from sticking to the mold. It took a while to figure out the veneer shapes via trial and error. You can see on the genuine article, there are cuts in strategic parts of the wood to allow a 2D sheet of wood to wrap around a 3D form. Each layer of wood is cut in different ways so that the slices don't line up. I look to recreate this in my paper layers. 2 different patterns layered alternatively. I then glued the 5 templates one by one, rather than all at once. In production, a factory would glue all layers at once. In a heat press or vacuum bag, I'm relying on tape, so I won't get even pressure, but wet paper is very forgiving. Removing the piece from the mold was a careful process. I picked the tape off and carefully prized it out, trimmed the edges, and cut off rough bits of paper and glue, just as they do in production. The real splint has small holes around the outside to strap it to the patient. I decided only to cut the large 2 in the center. This technique of forming thin wood layers into complex surfaces was not really a thing prior to this object. After the war, the Eames used the same factories to develop some of the world's most iconic furniture. I love this story. A design brief for a medical necessity, subsequently developed into modern design icons. It's a great illustration of industrial design. Form meets function. Art meets innovation. Engineering meets beauty. In reproducing my scale model, it's a chance to spend time obsessively studying and connecting myself with the object.